am so excited to be here this afternoon, hanging out with you on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Melbourne. I also acknowledge the lands and waters that we're on, acknowledge that we're sitting beside the Yarra right now, and that our First Nations people were the first storytellers and song people, and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I'm really excited to have an opportunity like this. It's not often that you get to sit down and to really delve into an artist and their process and to ask the questions about how art is made and what inspires art to continue to be made. And today we have a real treat of an artist. She's 3 critically, internationally acclaimed, all the words that you could use to describe albums that she has made. She's taking a really interesting introspection in her work right now. And I am so pleased that given to us by the wonderful Arts Centre Melbourne and the Australian Music Vault that we get this opportunity to delve and inquire into the mind and spirit of Gabriella Cohen.
Thank you. What an introduction. That was amazing.
See, this is really nice, isn't it, when someone comes along? We're talking about you, but you've already given me some compliments this afternoon. There is so many places I want to go with you. I have been a fan and I've followed your work for a really long time. I've seen you develop and I've seen the music take on these really authentic shifts through your career. But I want to go all the way back to little Gabriella Cohen, who was running through some hippie field somewhere with your parents, and ask, when did you first write a song? Were you always that kid that was sitting on a fake piano in front of your family and performing? When did it all start?
It all started, when I was quite young. I believe maybe 7. I wrote my first song. It was like a soul number.
Of course it was.
Yeah, it was quite.
Do you remember it?
I remember it really
Let's go
clearly.
Can you do it for us? I'm not joking.
I was thinking about doing it, but I got to work up to it.
All right, we'll need to give her a lot of encouragement because if we've come out of our homes today, it is to hear the 7-year-old version of the songwriter today.
It was, no, I'm not going to sing it now though.
Later.
But I think it was deeply inspired by, I used to go on these long road trips with my father and just 30 minutes. But you know, when you're 7, it felt like a long way to the supermarket. But he would always be blasting Mustang Sally. But I think it was the Muddy Waters version. It was really like cranking. And yeah, so that song that I wrote was deeply inspired by that and had these brilliant choruses and sax parts. Anyway, I don't know.
No, that's exactly what I want to hear because that's part of, not all of us have that way of intuiting and understanding music, even from being children where we hear the sax parts. I just hear it as one collection of something and I've got a feeling about it, but I don't understand its construction. Was that a very early understanding for you as to how, music is put together?
Yeah, I think so. I feel grateful my folks had really good taste and they would always play music that I would latch onto as a child. And I remember hearing I Will by the Beatles at a really young age and being mystified at Paul McCartney's vocal melody. You guys know that song, right? Who knows? Da, 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 da. It's just the most captivating thing as a child. Yeah, and I think I unconsciously understood it.
Yeah, but understanding and also having an ear to hear a melody line and to even be able to articulate that even now as a child thinking about that, that's really something, isn't it? And is that curiosity around music and melodies and structures and instrumentations, is that just a constant occupation of yours?
Yeah, it's an obsession. Yeah, I love it. I'm always listening and picking and trying to figure out how they did it. Yeah.
And we're talking process today. That is deeply part of the artist inquiry, isn't it? It's like looking outside and going, what did you do there? And why did you do it? And what does that mean to me in my own practice? How do you convert inspiration that sits outside into the way that you then understand the creation of music that you want to make?
That's a good question. I don't often think about it too much or intellectualize it. I feel like if it has a profound impact on me, then I'll soak it up like a sponge, and then it'll, just appear in all these different like cross sections of whatever creative thing I'm doing.
It's beautiful to find it like that, isn't it, too? To go, I love saxophone, back however many years ago, and suddenly it's appeared in something. Not that it has. Have you done saxophone solos?
I haven't yet. Not yet.
Wait, watch this space. There will be saxophone throughout all your recordings coming up. But having those beautiful influences that are, as you say, not intellectual in any way, shape or form, but they form an artist's inquiry as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to ask you about the art of songwriting. We're going to get into the depth of that throughout this conversation. But it's probably good to go from the very beginning now to where you are right now, because you're in a really big change, I suppose, in the way that you think about the art and the artist and how it will relate to the world around you. Highly successful, critically acclaimed. You've had an enormous reaction to your work so far, 3 albums. You've gone on that whole, okay, your face is like, have I? You have.
That's lovely. That's very nice.
You really have. And you've done an incredible job. And now you're deciding to take a very different route with it, a different path. Can you talk us through where you're at right now?
Yeah, I feel like I might have been asleep for a couple of years since I released my 3rd record. And I can see clearly now. No, but I can see really clear now. And I feel very excited by the music and the sounds that I'm creating. And it feels like a tap has been turned on. And there's really, it's like, we'll touch some kind of wood around here. It feels like limitless inspiration at the moment. And coming from many different sources and musical genres, which is exciting. Yeah.
It's really exciting. And that is part of the songwriter's experience, is the highs and lows of inspiration or personal, the fluid experience of writing and performing and making. What do you think has turned that tap back on from a period of feeling sleepy around your work?
Maybe I think it was like the inkling of the initial ideas and then becoming so inspired and excited by that one tiny seed that I was like on track.
Yeah, knowing how, because also the body of work that you've done, you know how to take a little spark and actually now create a fire out of it, but it's that spark that needs to come to begin with. Is that true to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you need a spark.
What you have done recently, though, is quite interesting and really incredible when we look at the songwriter and you as a musician and that art part and how it intersects with the world of business and, selling things and getting tours and booking them in. You've decided, after all of these years, to go absolutely independent. Can you talk to us about that process of choosing?
Yeah. What can I say? I love it. It's great. It means I kind of have always had creative control over most things that I do, but I feel like in this day and age, there's many, many ways to forge a career in the arts, and there's no one set pathway. and I'm independent, but yet I feel very connected to the musical community, and we're always like sharing, tips and tricks, and how did you get that, and what did that look like, so I feel like there's a very strong community of, independent artists, musicians. But yeah, the road is unknown, but it's really exciting, and and if Jimmy Iovine walked in and said, "Hello, Gabriella," I would really like him to manage me. That would be a good thing. But right now, I feel very happy being independent.
Is that part of your clarity as well? Do you think deciding to go independent helps really clear the way and think, all right, if it's me, what am I going to choose to do and how am I going to make music and what does it look like?
I would like to say yes, but the truth is I've been independent on and off for the past, 5, 6 years. And a lot of the time it's, trying to be your own boss and navigate that, which, if you don't like getting out of bed early in the morning, it can be tricky. So, yeah, I think it takes a certain kind of, you need to have like your blinkers on to be your own boss all the time.
It's a really hard part of the process of being a songwriter and a musician. In this country, especially, I think, in some ways, because the market is so spread out and you've got so much work to do to actually get your music out there and get gigs. Being your own boss is a really, really difficult thing to do with the level of work and things that are required in that particular role. What do you feel really good at when it comes to that independence and the role that you play in advocating for your own work?
I love it all. I love all the components of the industry. I love from like the creation to producing to promoting to booking. Like I love it all. I think it's all very fascinating, and it's all just dealing with people. And maybe if I wasn't a musician, I would be a full-time publicist because I think it's the best.
Anyone watching this who's kicking off in this world that is mysterious as well, because it's like, how do you go and do that? Or how do you get a gig? Or how do you, all the things that you need to kind of learn through experience and through doing. What's a really important thing that you think you've gained over all of these years in terms of that? Is it that people connection? Is it not being afraid to put yourself into those fairly vulnerable situations that you need to?
Yeah, definitely. It's like it feels madness that I'm answering this question because maybe 10 years ago I would have been asking it, but it's still a question. I feel like you always have to. Yeah, if you're not confident, just fake it. Yeah. It's all about luck, chance. I guess try and be really nice to everyone you meet because you never know where you'll see them again, at what party. And yeah, you definitely have to have a lot of chutzpah and put yourself out there. I have no problem promoting, things I believe in, whether that's myself or friends' music or, yeah, so you have to kind of be passionate and make people feel excited the same way you're excited. Because if you can translate that energy, then people want a piece of it.
That's a beautiful answer. And it kind of speaks to that that whole thing around being an artist in this world where you're being viewed, you're being judged, you've got your work, people like it or don't like it. That first part is making sure that you feel good and proud of what you make. Is that always a really challenging part of this as well, that confidence before you become vulnerable, before you put it out there and see what the world will say about the work that you've made?
For me, no.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I really love the work that I do, and generally when I put it out, I love it enough to put it out, so I don't feel hesitant about it or how it will be received, because as long as I'm really into it, I think that is all that matters.
That is a divine answer, because that really speaks to the authenticity of work, doesn't it? It's really about, because it's so hard to stay the course sometimes when you get so much feedback from all sorts of quarters, record companies, you get it from publicists, you get it from people that interview you on radio, you get feedback constantly. One sure thing, I suppose, is when you're performing to an audience and they're engaging with your work in that very pure way. Have you also really enjoyed that part of your gig?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, performing to an audience it's a whole different thing. It's like, when you get it right, it's like you're one living, breathing entity, and it's all connected. They're the best gigs.
Are they hard? I mean, are they few and far between, or do you learn how to? Because this is what keeps musicians coming back to a live performance. Because music can be made, can't it, and recorded and shared that way, but that live experience, we kind of take it for granted that it is as wonderful as it is. But it is, when you're really in that moment and an audience is really in that moment, it is transcendent. We have the best moments of our life in places where music is. Is that hard to get to that kind of clarity as well?
Yeah, it can be. For years, I didn't really have a pre-show ritual, and I would just be running around writing set lists or being very not present. And more recently, I've tried to implement a pre-show ritual where, I'm not going to tell you.
We so can just now imagine what that looks like. Star jumps, cups of tea. But making sure that you actually come. I was even thinking about our chat today, and I was thinking how great it feels when you have an intention for what what you're about to do, what you're thinking you would like to achieve. Is it kind of like that? Like you just want to come in and you know that you've got a clarity around the purpose for you being there?
Totally, yeah. A sense of intention and calmness, if you can.
Because that's the connection. I was really stunned by that answer. Whoa! Throw my book off the thing. It's a hard, because it's the magic a bit, isn't it? It's hard to always talk about, and also not necessary to talk about. We often really understand that, but it's not always that we encounter that with artists. We don't always encounter that moment or that experience. So when it happens, it can be quite incredible. Have you had, what's been one that would jump into your head right now that was that live experience for you, seeing music performed and being in the audience and understanding it? This is without any warning. I've not told you I'm going to ask this question. Do you have anything that pumps into your head?
Yeah, I found myself at a Wise Blood concert last week in Brisbane at the Princess Theatre. And did you go to her show?
No. We're talking Wise Blood?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't go. I'm too tired and quite old now. But I want to go out more, because this is what you're about to tell me, is this great thing that you think, should I leave the heater? Yes, I should leave the heater, because...
It was absolutely transcendent. And I don't say that lightly, because I'm a harsh critic generally at gigs. You don't want to take me along to a gig.
Are you whispering sternly in someone's ear?
I usually, Anyway, but this gig, I was in the front row, and I was just jaw dropped the entire time. Going to Wise Blood is like going to the cinemas. She came out in this beautiful white dress and a white cape, and she had this beautiful red glowing heart at times that would just kind of burn red. And she had these gorgeous cinematic visuals projected behind her in like key points in her set. And that, coupled with the lighting and her voice, I don't know if anyone's heard Wise Blood, but she sings like, it's like Disney on ice. But
I did not think you would say that. That's
but like
great.
her voice is, it's kind of operatic at time. It was incredible. Yeah, really amazing.
Because we're seeing so many more artists, even if you go down to your local bar almost, really take the opportunity for a whole artistic expression. No longer is it simply just get up in a guitar. It can be, of course, but there is this beautiful expansion, it seems, as well at the moment, where we're seeing artists fully engage in the entire art of it. And I would credit you as one of those artists. It feels fulsome. Do you think about it that way?
Yeah, more and more so. I saw the Wise Blood concert, and then last year I saw the Lord concert, and I don't know if you've heard about her set, but yeah, after seeing more live shows recently with that full element of, visuals and lights, yeah, I've thought about stepping up my game a little bit.
We'll come down and see you at the Gasso and you'll just be full pyrotechnics and riding in on a pony or something incredible like Beyonce. All right, I want to. We're gonna hear some of your music today, which is really exciting. Yes, says the front row friend here. Yes, Gabriella Cohen fan. Yes. I'm really excited to have you share it with us. I'm also, because we're doing Process today, really interested around your inspiration, because we talked about that at the very start. You had a little bit of, music soul influence you as a youngster. What do you go for now? Because inspiration is really, like eating. You need to kind of have that palate diverse so that you can produce something interesting as well.
Are we talking in relation to the song, or just
I think
in
more
general?
generally, where you are enjoying your downtime when you're just listening. What are you loving?
Band names?
Well, all
Just in
genres,
general.
whatever you reckon.
I'm always very attracted to melodies, vocal melodies, and harmonies.
Yes.
That's kind of everything to me, and then you can kind of like
They're
build
so
around
mysterious to me, harmonies.
that. Yeah, they're
I don't
magic.
understand. How good are you at a harmony? That wasn't a good note to start on, but that was a
wasn't-
beautiful harmony.
I was just about to say, I think I'm terrific at harmonies.
No, but it's a mystery, isn't it? There's so many ways you can take a harmony.
Yeah. And when they're done so well, it's kind of like,
Yes.
two pieces of material woven together. I feel like Simon and Garfunkel is a really brilliant
Yes.
example, and John Lennon and Paul McCartney. I mean, they're the most famous examples, but what they do, and you can't really like pick which one is doing what. I think that's very beautiful.
It is beautiful, isn't it? That interchange. Collaborating, thinking about those voices, and we are about to hear some new music, don't worry about it. Collaborating, you mentioned there those iconic collaborators. You really do like collaborating with other artists, don't you, to push your work? Tell us about that.
Well, I want to do much more. I feel like I haven't done much at all. Well, no, that's a lie. My main collaborator has been Kate Dillon, who now fronts Full Flower Moon Band, and we recorded the first 2 records together. And she's a dream, and it's very fun to record records with your best friend.
It's hard though. Sounds like a romantic, but having a creative collaboration that works is absolutely something very, very special. What do you put down that collaboration and it working so well down to?
Having a laugh.
Yeah. Not taking a position too seriously.
I mean, there was lots of that as well.
Yeah, but being able to overcome that.
Yeah, it's just having a good time, and wherever Kate and I recorded, we would live in that place. So we would make it a lifestyle, and that kind of, I don't know, it kind of fed into our collaborations because that was where we were. That was
You become that one voice.
Yeah.
Harmony's so close that they sound like they're the same thing.
Well, I don't know if we got there. You tell me. But we did our very best. But
that's interesting, going into space, because producing is a really big part of your interest And now more so than ever, you're very keen to be very much upfront with the production of your work. The space that you record in, I love hearing about choices that are made around where you will record something. The most recent stuff has been where?
Well, I guess I've just been demoing everything, and I've been doing that in my cabin in Crystal Waters, where I grew up. It's a little permaculture village in Sunshine Coast hinterland.
I love that story. I want to go and live in Crystal Waters with you if there's any room in your cabin.
You'd be very welcome.
Would I? I have woo-woo inside me ready to explore. So that and writing, and really, do you really go into a cave and find a space and a kind of thing to do it? Or are you much more likely to write and just reflect and do your day-to-day stuff?
It's a bit of both. But earlier this year, when it was much warmer, my favorite place to write was in the big dam. I'd get a canoe and sit there with my book in the middle of the big dam. Well, that's what we call it, surrounded by lily pads. It was brilliant because there's no distractions, no phones. And yeah, I would do a lot of my writing there.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that we know that you get into a canoe and go into a big dam around lily pads. That's a very romantic image that we have in our head of you, Gabriella Cohen.
Yeah, it's very storybook now that I say it out loud. Yeah.
Do you wear a life jacket? As the mother here, I feel like I want to ask that you're safe when you're doing it.
No, because it's a really, or maybe it's more of a kayak, because I'm very like nothing can really fall over unless, actually no, there was one time where I was sitting there peacefully writing in my book, drifting off, because the sun was shining, and this massive spider came out of nowhere. I saw its little leg, and then because I grew up in the country, so you'd think I could handle these things, but turns out, no, I leapt up on the canoe, like clutching my book, and I think I had my phone, and yeah, pretty much it was me against this spider, but we made it back to shore. I was like standing up on the canoe, and the spider was over there.
The spider came back with you to the shore?
So nothing capsized, but...
So that leads me to understand that you write lyrics before you write music.
It could be either or, whatever I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go into a very particular example. This song that we're about to hear, it's a recording. We're going to hear live music in a moment as well. You are the best person ever, front row friend. What's your name? Clementine, for those who are watching online. Clementine can't keep her body still with the excitement of hearing some new Gabriella Cohen music, and that is why we get out of bed in the morning. Gabriella Cohen, we are going to hear your song that hasn't got a title, but does it? No games?
Oh, no.
Don't say it.
No.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just a demo. It's a demo.
We're getting to hear a demo.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us, before we hear it, when I've heard it, I can hear some reggae in there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I kind of grew up with reggae. Bob Marley and the Wailers kind of set the bar for me. I kind of grew up with their cartoon-esque harmonies always in the background. And more recently, there's an artist that I discovered called Natalie Bergman, and she's brilliant. And she has, it's kind of like a reggae-infused like pop dub that I've been really getting into. So
those staccato strums, it really sets a very particular tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so this one that we're about to hear, let's deconstruct it slightly. What came first? How was this one made? And tell us about this beautiful, because I think we're here at the start of this. This is version 7,525.
No.
No. Okay, we don't.
That's the other song.
That's another song. So how do you record this stuff? What do you do in the cabin or the canoe?
Well, this was just kind of, I was very grumpy for weeks and weeks, and I didn't have any outlet. So I searched, I don't know, like hip hop drum beat in Splice, which is like, where you go to search for loops and little samples. And then I chucked it into my Logic session, and then I whipped out my grandpa's nylon guitar. It's what I record everything on. But I didn't have a microphone or anything, so I just recorded everything through the computer microphone.
Oh, I like that.
Because I was like, whatever, this is just a silly little demo, which I've now really grown to love. And so everything you hear is...
You mean you love the sonic, the sound of that little speaker? Because I do.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Is that what you meant when you said you've grown to love?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think but maybe I should begin demos with the intention of actually using them as the final product. So maybe like plug a microphone in next time, But yeah, I guess it's part of the charm.
So demoing is something you do for all your music. Do you go over lots and lots of drafts?
Yep.
Yeah, different vocals, different times, different styles, different things. So this one we're about to hear, it's close to something that you might put on an album. Not an album. Shush, albums are over. You might put out to share with the world.
Yeah, I reckon a couple, I'd probably redo the vocals and the bass and the guitar. Maybe a couple of things. But yeah, I kind of like it.
If you need me to do harmonies, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how we go. Could you introduce it for us?
Sure. It's called, the working title is called No Games. Please enjoy.
I can see your mind, love. It's talking to me like love. I want it to be like love. I don't know what it's like. Oh, I can't do it anymore. This is war. Oh, I'm gonna make it right. Used to play. Oh, I won't do this anymore. You're before, yeah, but I shouldn't be treated this way. Oh, I just want you to be there. Just want you to be there. I never saw it coming. You acting awful strange. It feels like you keep running. 'Cause you ain't comforting. I can't do it anymore. This is war. Oh, look on all the games I used to play. Oh, I can't do this anymore. I am bored, yeah, but I shouldn't treat you in this way.
Thanks for listening to my demo, guys.
First audience to ever hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, that deserves
Totally.
like rousing, loud applause, everybody. Yay! So exciting to hear music for the very first time, isn't it? Like the first time you hear something and what it does, I've spent a lot of time listening to music for the very first time when people send music to me as a radio person, and you're like so excited and ready for what it might be. And it's so wonderful, like that track where it takes you down pathways I didn't know we were going to go down. Like, is it a trombone in there?
Oh, yeah. It's like a MIDI sax. Oh, yeah, sax.
It's a saxophone. Oh my God, that is like, we just had a moment of serendipity and magic.
circle.
Hello, full circle. We could go home now and everything would be perfect. In terms of book writing, people ask the question, are you a pantser or a plotter? A pantser is someone who rides by the seat of their pants, or they plot out exactly where this is going to go. When you write that song, do you know that it's going to have some of those big sounds coming through it? Do you know, what do you know about it as you start developing it and you layer music and sounds and ideas onto it?
I had no idea. I just, what did they say? Fly by the seat of your pants? Is that what they say?
Pantsing. Yeah, fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was all just like a surprise to you as it was to me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, once I have an inkling of what the surprise should be, but it's all just like as it happens, I guess.
That sounds to me like a great reason to get out of bed on time every day.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely.
That is a great pull. Live performance and that amazing experience of connection. But writing and creating and being just available to see what happens is also thoroughly satisfying experience. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. It's it's what creates excitement, and you need surprises in life. We're so programmed for predictability, and it's nice to create or like leave space for being spontaneous, I think.
And again, that authenticity that is absolutely very apparent when we hear from you. What I want to know as well is in terms of the collision between this beautiful, authentic artist and these really, I find them difficult notions, but they're a reality of Gabriella Cohen, the brand, the social media posts, the way we take photos of ourselves or make the business out of you, essentially. Now you're independent, that's your job. How do you think about that? How can we think about those fairly, it seems sometimes, two things that sit on a very separate plane of reality?
Yeah, it's a funny one, I think, especially when you're talking about social media and posting. 'Cause people just want to see pictures of you at the end of the day. They don't care what your pie looks like. They just want to see your face. Yeah, I struggle a lot with the how do you interact. But the truth is that, I've got really lovely and loyal fans who want to know what's going on. And if I can find a way to feel genuine when using social media, which is just not overthinking it and just trying to connect with them the best way I know how, I think.
That is so thoroughly consistent with your art making, and it's so nice to hear. And it's so great that can be how we engage with this other part of us now, this social world that we're constantly being part of. And as an artist, getting out there and doing things, that it can be a very authentic exchange with, you mentioned before, fans who've really been behind you. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, having that relationship with people who understand and are fed by the work that you make must also be a very big reason to get out of bed in the morning.
Totally. And, I have no problem getting out of bed in the morning.
I know, I just thought I'd keep going back to that small point you made. And
my parents are going to get
home
worried.
And
yeah, I love kind of keeping my finger on the pulse when it comes to my fans, because I generally, if I can, like to reach out to all of them and figure out, where they're from, how they heard the music, what they do for a living. Maybe they have a brother that works in radio that I can speak to. I kind of do a lot of my networking through my fans who become friends, or, they sometimes become musicians who I play with. It's like a thriving community, and I feel like that's the amazing thing about social media. And I've always kind of done it that way, like made contact.
yeah, like genuine connections that is actually possible through it all. Maybe we should hear one more song from you today. This one, we're very excited that there's a whole chihuahua over here. A song that, do you write often on the same instrument? Like, do you write on guitar or do you write on piano, or do you just sort of flip between the two, or are there other instruments you like to write on?
I mostly write on guitar, but it's really good for me to write on other things. Like piano is something I'm trying to get more used to. But I find that the less you're familiar with the instrument, the better the song.
Oh, I love that because limitation kind of creates invention.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we're about to see limited invention right now.
Yes. Yes.
What is this song? Do you want to give us a little bit of background and understanding about how it came about when we're thinking about process? What's this song and where does it come from?
Well, I mean, I would like to say the song speaks for itself, but we are in the process lab here.
Even the process of it, not even the intention of the lyrics or anything, but just like around, you sit down, you noodle on the piano, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always, hit record on my voice memo, and I had 4 lines, something about not feeling love, just very happy things. But then I heard the voice memo later when I was house sitting on this beautiful place with a white piano on the beach in Byron Bay, of all places. I know it's very cliche. And then I finished the song there. And I work best at night with lots of coffee. And that's when I finished it.
That is delightful detail, and I thank you for giving us that. Do you want to do, well, you may as well do an intro while you're at the piano and let us know all about the song there. Okay. I'll move out of your way.
Yeah. Do you want me to turn this up? Cool. Is there anything else you want to know?
Is there anything else? No, go for it.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Thanks for listening, everyone. This is a real honor. You make me so mad, I can't see you anymore. I thought I was glad, but I don't feel it, that's for sure. Whatever happened to last November? We spent so much time together, then bang, bang, shut me down. You smoke your homegrown, I drink tequila, get a little bit too stoned, and notice you breathing, talk about moving to LA. But did I ever know you, babe? I got lost in your enchanted ways. You put on a show, you made me smile, here's hoping. It was like a magic trick, except you forgot to practice it. And as you slipped, I saw through the curtain, caught a glimpse of someone who'd been hurting. You make me so mad, I can't see you anymore. I thought I was glad, but I don't feel love, that's for sure. What the hell were we really doing? You were screwing me while I was screwing someone else. You smoke your homegrown, I drink tequila, get a little bit too stoned, and notice you're near me. Watch the world go by, don't say a thing. But did I ever know you, babe? he's hoping. It was like a magic trick, except you forgot to practice it. And as you slipped, I saw through the curtain, caught a glimpse of someone that's been hurting. Thank you.
And again, is that the very first time, I should say that again, and again, is that the very first time that a crowd has heard that song?
Yes.
We're going to lock you in this room today and stay here forever together so that we can cherish this moment forevermore. Gabriella Cohen, I've spoken about your instruments and your writing and your influences, but we haven't spoken probably about one of the most important instruments that you have, and that's your voice. When did you find your voice?
I feel like I'm still finding it.
How do you mean in that kind of finding that when you sing as much authenticity as possible? Or what is that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like my voice, I can't really change it. I've tried.
Why would you?
I don't know, because I guess I really like classic singers, you know? But that's okay, because, yeah.
Yeah,
Unique.
you've just arrived in the world as you are, and it's a good thing. We love it, I have to say. Your voice is such a beautiful feature of the music that you make, and it's a gorgeous instrument. That's a bit of editorial, but that's my vibe on this
Thank you.
afternoon.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you. We're about to get some questions from you this afternoon as well. Looking forward to hearing what you might want to hear from Gabriella Cohen. But I would like to know your future. You are looking at you in so many ways. You write songs that we're very familiar with, but you also do a lot of writing for that kind of world of sinking and that whole mystical reality that I know nothing about. What's that about for you?
That's a really exciting avenue to buy a house. No, but definitely a house, which will come soon. But also, I love writing songs for other people, and I've teamed up with my sister. We call ourselves Cohen and Cohen, and we write, you know, everything from Christmas songs to hip hop to everything. We write, you know, to sell to other, you know, bigger artists, and also. Yeah, I love syncing because...
Explain syncing for anyone who doesn't quite know.
Syncing, it's like synchronization. So when you hear a song on a television ad or a film soundtrack, that's all syncing. Yeah. And also writing for film. I'm really into that. I recently just finished a soundtrack for a short documentary, which will be on ABC.
Tell us about that. What is it called?
It's got a hilarious title. Well, I probably shouldn't say that on camera.
Edit
but
that.
It is.
Edit
it
mark,
is.
edit
It's
mark.
funny. It's funny. And my sister is actually the star of the show. It's called Jewish Singles in the Snow.
How do you write music for Jewish singles in the snow?
Well, we thought that they might want klezmer, but they didn't. So the brief was kind of Elizabeth Cotton style guitar.
Wow.
So I did a lot of that.
It's actually a really hard thing to do because often you'll get a brief and the person giving you the brief has got a very obscured idea of what they want, and then they tell you, and it's something, the communication between someone asking you for something and what you then give can be a very massive void between the two.
Yeah, there's lots of communication, and then things get pulled, and then people have new ideas, and it's all very fast, but it's a very exciting world to be in.
It is, because it'll feed your original work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're asked to spread your wings into an area you would not have normally done, it can't help but inform the work that you make as well. So expect some Jewish singles in the snow influence through the music that's coming out. So
Yes, definitely.
I feel like I heard it in that song for sure. It's been so beautiful to have an opportunity to sit down and talk to you about your process. You're an astounding artist, and I've been so impressed, excited, moved by your work as someone who's just listening and experiencing it. So I thank you so much for your generosity this afternoon in sharing the process in the Process Lab about how Gabriella Cohen finds her way to make the music that we love. Thank you so much this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. You're a really good moderator.
We would love your questions. As a microphone, we need to get you on the mic for these questions because we are filming, but it will just be your voice. That's right, isn't it, Bonnie? Just the voice. So no clearances needed. You can use a fake voice if you would like, whatever you would like to do. You moved your hand. Don't do that when people are asking for questions because we're coming straight to you. Love a question if you have one. Just hand up and we'll come. There we are, front row. Front row legend. You sat in the front row knowing you were going to deliver today. Well done, you.
No. Oh, thank you. First of all, you're often very generous yourself online in sharing songs in process. And when I listen to songwriters talk on podcasts like Soda Jerk, they talk about strategies for obviously being productive. But they also talk about periods when they're not productive. I wonder how if at all, you have dry times or blocks, if that's the right word for songwriting.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I feel like I've been asleep for a couple of years. I didn't do much. But yeah, I think dry spells come all the time. But if you're lucky enough to have a backlog, sometimes it's a good way to spark new work by, resurrecting the old songs. Yeah.
These are these moments as a moderator. I'm like, God, I did a bad job. That's such a great question. Who else would like to ask one? Yes, down the front.
So I'd just like to ask, what's your favourite type of music?
Well, I love all kinds of music. But at the moment, my favorite type of music is probably the Beatles. That's all I listen to at the moment.
Do you listen to the Beatles? Sorry about my massive fascination with you.
Not much.
Wait till you get it out now.
But also, why?
That's a good question. I feel like they just have like everything. They've got like the happy, the sad, the funny, the colourful, witty, incredible melodies. They're always harmonizing. And, the lyric content, it can get pretty out there sometimes. Yeah, I think they have like best of all worlds in one. Yeah.
Excellent double-barreled question. Professional to the end. One over here as well.
Thank you. Yeah, just on that topic of being your own boss, I was wondering if you had any tips, I guess, on finding that balance, so still enjoying the spontaneity and surprise. That really resonated with me when you said that about you still want to enjoy your craft and the music and all of that, but to sort of balance that with discipline, get this in, and it's kind of two contrasting worlds. But any tips on that kind of?
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I have the answers. I'm still definitely figuring that one out, but I feel like getting up early, that's good. I try and write a list before I go to bed, as boring as it sounds, about what to tick off tomorrow. So I'll always kind of wake up and know exactly what I'm doing in the morning. But I feel like the really successful people, they wake up at 4 a.m. and then they have all their things and go for their run, and I'm not that kind of person. It's always a balance. I think it's always a balance, but lists really help me. Yeah. I'm sorry I can't tell you more.
Hang on, you've got to say this on mic. This is
Sorry.
really awkward. Just
And then
pretend
the-
it's spontaneous.
And
Go for it.
Yeah, but you still, enjoy that spontaneous time. Like if you have an idea, you'll just go and do that instead, or
Oh, definitely.
Like, I
yeah.
think that's important, yeah.
I'm like very free flowing. Yeah.
Probably time for one more if anyone else has a question. The pressure's on. Oh, one over here. I know there's always, you just need that little bit of encouragement.
What inspires you to write lyrics? Like, do you ever get to a point where you're just like, I've got nothing else to write about?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm really into like really good melody at the moment with nonsensical lyrics because it's kind of like a break from that. I mean, that wasn't a good example. It's a break from all the, we broke up, I'm sad. So, I like interesting use of words. You know who does it really well? Aldous Harding. She's just, it's like this brilliant, I don't know where she gets it from. I've tried to read her lyrics and listen to her songs at the same time. And it doesn't make any sense, but it makes a lot of sense.
I want to ask on the back of that question about, when you're dating people or in your family, are they like, are you going to write a song about this?
Yeah, I feel sorry for anyone who dates me, But yeah, they always get a song, generally.
Do you think that a little crowd in a little room by the side of the Yarra, listening to music for the very first time, might get a song one day? I'm just putting it in there. If you run out of topics, us.
Wait, I don't understand.
You write a song about us, Gabriella Cohen, and this particular day. Like it could be like, they were all so beautiful.
Yeah.
Even though I couldn't see them in the dark.
Yeah, maybe we could be a collab. Yeah.
A collab. Cohen and
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes, that sounds good.
It does actually sound good.
Cohen and Parsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because of Leonard Cohen and Graham Parsons.
Oh,
Graham
yeah.
Parsons, yeah.
Okay, that's a really strange and beautiful moment. I'll make sure you're all named individually in that song. Make sure you write them down before you leave this afternoon. Except that person at the back there is actually the sound person and not putting his hand up. I think we are at a wonderful, sated moment of having, a great opportunity. Thanks so much to the channel and to the Art Centre and to the Australian Music Vault for really valuing what it is and what our artists in this country are making and inventing. So again, it's such a great opportunity, and I thank you so much, Gabriella Cohen, for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much. It's been a total honor and a privilege.